Good morning from WKYT News. I'm Bill Bryant, and we welcome you to Kentucky Newsmakers. In just a few minutes, we'll be hearing about the first ever Downtown Lexington Summit. What are the trends that drive success downtown, and what are the ongoing challenges in the heart of the city? That's a little later, but first we focus on the housing market in central and southern Kentucky as we hit summer, and it's a time when a lot of people are ready to make their move. What are buyers and sellers looking to do right now? The Lexington Bluegrass Association of Realtors, LBAR, as you may know it, is the largest group of professional realtors in the region. They've been looking over the numbers, keeping a very close eye on what people expect in the home these days. And joining us to talk about that this morning, Justin Landon, who is the CEO of LBAR, and longtime realtor Al Blevins, who is serving as president of the association once again this year. Gentlemen, welcome. We appreciate you very much for coming in today.
It's good to be
here.
Thanks, Bill.
Thanks.
Let's talk about this. First of all, you know, as we're hitting summer this weekend, some folks try to get out there, get situated, make that move, I'm sure, while school is out and that kind of thing. What are you seeing out there right now?
Yeah, I would say that this is, of course, the hottest market time of the year. You know, everybody wants to get in before school starts. Once school starts, things start to slow down a little bit. And of course, now that school's out, people are really actively looking. We're seeing a hot market out there. There's a tremendous amount of demand in the marketplace. Good news is prices are not growing as fast as they were growing last year. We're seeing about 4% year-over-year price increase across the entire market, and almost identical inside Fayette County when you isolate Fayette County out. May numbers show that May has accelerated a little bit over where we've been for the rest of the year, but we look like we're in for as hot a summer market as we had last year, if not a little hotter.
So when you describe a hot market, Al, you're talking about the buyers are waiting for homes to come on the market,
yes,
right?
And you know, we've been experiencing a seller's market for a long time, and prices are up, and there's a lot of multiple offers, so buyers are looking. As soon as the house comes on the market, it's not unusual to have multiple offers on the particular houses.
Is there a particular sector, you know, in terms of a price range that is the hottest, and then is there some area where things are a little slower?
Yeah, it seems like in most areas everything's moving pretty well, but you know, in the Lexington market, I was just looking this morning under, you know, 450, from 200 to 450. There's close to 500 pending sales right now. So you know, the 250 range, 350 is hot here, and in your rural areas, you're probably looking anywhere from 150 to 250, 300. So you know, it's still just like the weather. It's different in different areas, and so the real estate market. But the seller's market has been very typical for the last probably year and a half.
Yeah, and we say a seller's market's going to be, or a market in equilibrium will be about 6 months of inventory.
Right.
And right now across our market, we're just over 2 months of inventory, and then in Lexington Fayette market, we're under 2 months of inventory, and so that tells you that there's a lot more buyers than there are sellers right now.
Which essentially means everything could be sold in a couple of months.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah,
right,
we base it on the previous month's sales, and it could be depleted in 2 months or less.
Are there particular areas that you're seeing a real demand for right now within the region?
Yeah, it's hard to sort of pick out individual neighborhoods. I mean, of course, if you were to look inside Fayette, you could sort of target the neighborhoods that we all talk about all the time, you know, or there's a lot of demand in those areas. What we're seeing, though, is that any neighborhood that's got a lot of inventory under $200,000 is just cooking, because there's less and less new inventory in that $200,000 range, and so older existing neighborhoods with lots of inventory under $200,000. I mean, we're seing those homes sell in days, not months, not weeks.
So how much of a challenge does Lexington in particular have in providing affordable housing? The entry-level market people can go in and buy. You know, I know it's a hot potato issue when you start talking about opening up more areas for development, and it's controversial because people are so proud of the green space and the horse farms in this area, and it's an important part of who people are in this area. But at the same time, there's nowhere to build in some cases, or so it appears.
Well, and very true. But also, too, we see kind of a regional effect happening where people are going out to some of the rural areas and counties and building. One additional thing to that is just having the skilled labor force and the contractors to be able to construct those homes. Lexington's a hot spot, Georgetown, Madison County, Jessamine County, but we have been behind on skilled labor force for some time now, and it's been coming on. But now the trade schools are picking up. You know, I had a customer in the other day. Her one son was in pharmacy school, one was in HVAC school, and immediately, you know, who's going to make the most money? He already is. So.
Landon, I know, and you've dealt with these issues before in many different capacities, but is it a balancing act right now? Is you know, for developers who would like to open up maybe some new subdivisions, but have a lot of difficulty in identifying places to do that?
Yeah, there's no question here in the Lexington-Fayette market. There's a lack of developable land on the table for developers to look at. And that's just a fact of life. You know, this community has strongly supported maintaining the urban service boundary, and that's the decision the community has made. And so as we look at that, I think we have to begin to have a conversation about how we deal with that regionally. Just because we have a lack of land in Lexington-Fayette to develop doesn't mean we have less people that want to live here. And so the reality is the demand to live here is higher than it's ever been. We need to begin having a conversation about how we grow regionally, and we've seen that already, right? The Georgetown market, the Madison market, the Jessamine market, all of those are a growth impact largely because of the demand in the Lexington-Fayette region, and in the county in particular, being unmet. And we expect Clark County to probably see some growth in the future years as well. Now, how we move people from those counties into Lexington-Fayette every day and back out is a conversation that our various county governments need to start having with one another, so we can have a regional solution and not a patchwork.
Well, and obviously the taxes, the property taxes are going to be paid in an area where the people are there part of the time and they're in another county part of the time. So that's also an issue if there's any kind of a regional pact kind of a future there. Let's talk about some other issues. I know you've just been both to a conference and you've been learning about some of the things that new home buyers are facing. We've had a lot of rain in the spring, and even it's, you know, here we are, it's chasing us into summer now. What about flood insurance? Is it increasingly important given the, you know, obvious volatility we have around the country with the weather right now?
It is. It's very expensive, and you know, that's been an on-air table for many years now. And we're trying to get a long-term solution through federal government and state government, and we go and advocate and meet with our legislators to try to, from NAR, you know, we're the largest trade organization and one of the largest in the country, and they're still working on it. There's a recent solution, I think, like a 5-year term that's on the table to be voted on. Or time for flood insurance, and we've been having to renew it or advocate to renew it every year almost.
Every year
that it comes up.
Flood insurance has been an ongoing issue. Of course, you can't close a loan on a piece of property that's in a floodplain, and there's several problems with that. Number one of which is the maps are bad, and so should have come as some surprise, I suppose, that FEMA's maps aren't up to date. Well, they're not, and so in a lot of cases, properties that just have a sliver in the floodplain are being forced by lenders to have flood insurance, and understandably so. But oftentimes those maps are bad. So we've been kicking the can down the road with short-term solutions on flood insurance. But recently we had some good news. The House of Representatives passed a flood insurance bill that would be a 5-year solution with 2 major components that would be of huge benefit to homeowners. The first of which would say we're going to try to restart the nascent private flood insurance market, which today it's largely government-backed only. And 2, actually put some teeth into forcing FEMA to update their maps. And if we can get better maps, we can properly price flood insurance more effectively. The reality is if we don't have a flood insurance program at the national level, thousands of properties will not close every month. So it's vital.
When people come to you, they've generally made the decision they want to buy or sell. But what would you say to people out there who are just in that process of considering whether they want to buy or sell at this point? Is home ownership still a good value? Or is it as
Absolutely,
good as it's ever been?
Yeah, it builds, and especially now at this type of market, the prices are increasing because of the supply and demand. There's less supply, so the prices go up, and of course that helps their financial statement as well when they go to sell. Right now, they're experiencing some good profits, but definitely a good investment.
Interest rates continue to be stable or could go down.
Sure, they're 4% or less, and it's expected to go down. I always go back to when I was in banking, the prime rate was 21%, and the first mortgage loan I made to someone was 16.75, so 4% or lower is great.
All right. We're coming right back with the folks here from LBAR, the Lexington Bluegrass Association of Realtors. Later, we'll talk about downtown Lexington and the future there. You're watching Kentucky Newsmakers from WKYT. Welcome back to Kentucky Newsmakers on WKYT. We're glad you're with us today. And Justin Landon is here. He's CEO of LBAR, and longtime realtor Al Blevins, who's serving as president of the Lexington Bluegrass Association of Realtors, is with us as well today. You served a term before, didn't you?
I did. I was president in 2013, so right in this seat.
I know you did, and we appreciate that. So long service and experience in the region. And Landon, let me ask you this about what the trends are that we're seeing right now. I know there's the old standard 3-2 on a basement
That's right.
is what people generally are looking for. How does it spread out from there?
Yeah, I mean, as you said, the 3-2 ranch on a basement is sort of a joke in the industry, at least in our market here, that's the standard home that most people are looking for. The new trend now, especially with all the Gen Xers in the market, is multi-generational homes. Increasingly we're seeing people look for places where they can put mom or dad in the home with them as the baby boomer generation continues to age, and Gen X is getting into a financial position where they can afford a slightly larger home. So that's been a big trend of late.
We had the era of McMansions we talked about, where those, particularly out in the subdivisions, they built the big square footage and all of that. Is that still a trend that you see as well, or is there some backtrack from that?
There's a market for that, but especially with the younger generations, they don't want all the upkeep, I don't think, and their parents, we've had consultants tell us about, they want time with their family, they want time with their friends, they want the front porches they can spend time with their neighborhood on and backyard. So still a demand, but not as much as it used to be.
So what is going on with millennials? Are they interested in home ownership, or is the fact that their levels of ownership are low a byproduct of other debt that they're so often carrying into adulthood?
Yeah, we see that, and we hear statistics about it. I think very much still the American population and consumers are still believing in the great American dream of home ownership. Millennials, coming out, and college students right now are coming out with an average debt anywhere from $28,000 to $38,000 in college loans, and then so if you amortize that, and some of their payments are somewhere between $200 and $300 a month, and then they're making a car payment, and then they have other expenses, rent, whatever it may be. So they have delayed their purchases, but we see now that the job market has picked up. They're getting some of the higher paying jobs that they went to school for, and that's coming together. But it has been delayed. They've delayed marriage, they delayed having kids, and it's been for the last 8 years approximately.
What is the condo market like in this area?
Interestingly, when you look at our statistics for this year, we've seen a really hot single-family residential market with prices increasing by 4% across. But actually in the condo townhouse home market, we've actually seen a decrease in the market this year. Now, we don't have enough condos and townhouses to really draw any big conclusions about that. It could just be some noise in the market, but that is what the data shows, is that there isn't maybe quite as much interest in that product right this moment. But again, it's hard to read without more of that inventory. Single
biggest thing that people are looking for when they decide where they want to locate, which neighborhood, what area, and I know realtors have to be very careful in how you direct people to areas, but no doubt there are some things that people have in the backs of their minds when they go to the realtor, right?
Absolutely, and the amenities that are around that they're attracted to for their family, if they have children, if they're single, it's two different things. But yeah, they're looking for close to their job if possible, but there's nothing for people to be commuting 30 and 60 miles a day to Lexington for work. But yeah, whatever their lifestyle is, they want a good neighborhood that's safe and close to whatever amenities they're wanting to use.
Yeah, I would say what people are doing more and more now is they're taking into the holistic life cycle costs of home ownership. Right? They're not just looking at what the lowest price is or the best value for the price they're paying, but they're looking at how much is it going to cost for me to drive to work every day? What is the cost of education for my children? What are the sort of the societal costs of living where I choose to live? And not just looking at the sales price and sort of doing the math on what their payments would be. And I think that's something we've seen in the real estate industry realtors doing learning more about how to communicate with their clients about those life cycle costs of home ownership.
People who are considering right now putting their home on the market, preparing the home for sale, what would you have them know, particularly if they want to, say, get something done here in the next couple of months?
Well, you know, I mentor a lot of young people, and I talk about what are the things we can control and what are the things we can't control. And one of the first things is this: the landscape, the yard. If they're going to market their home, that's the first impression. You know, the kitchen is kind of the hub or the central control of a lot of homes, and so to have first of all, decluttered house, absolutely, but the kitchen, if they need to, you know, paint the cabinets or put in new ones or appliances to spruce it up. The bathroom would probably be number 2. And then just, you know, painting carpet, worn out carpet, just the simple things that, you know, you want to make sure you're going to try to get the return, and depends on what their debt is and what the property values are at the time, but just controlling the simple things of the home.
Some things add more value than others, right, to a home.
It's true, and the math generally shows that kitchens and bathrooms are your best investment, you know, unless there's some, you know, holes in the wall or something like that. But generally, you know, investing in upgrading your countertops, upgrading your cabinets, those are where you're going to see the best bang for your buck.
Our next segment, we're going to talk about downtown Lexington and the vitality there. How important is it for homeowners that the heart of their city or wherever their community is, that it be vibrant?
Absolutely, yeah. You know, and Lexington is a great example of that with their Thursday Night Lives, I believe is what they call it, and a lot of other communities that, you know, we have 26 counties that we're involved with in our jurisdiction, and a lot of them have Friday, you know, third Fridays or whatever, which they have a downtown events. But yeah, I think that's the control center, like the kitchen is for the house. The downtown is important. People want to be proud of it, and very much an attraction.
Well, we appreciate you coming in, and we'll visit again soon and see how the numbers are holding up. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Bill. Always glad to be here.
And stay with us on Kentucky Newsmakers. In just a moment, we'll learn about what happened at a summit about the future of downtown Lexington this week. We'll be right back.